There we go. Good Sunday morning, everybody. How's it going? How you doing? What it do? How's the week? How's it been? Hopefully all right. What's going on this week? This week, we got a lot. Got a lot going on. So news-wise, like what's going on? I gotta tell you, let's take a look at something real quick. I'm so glad that I can finally share audio with you guys. It's like, let's see, it's like a dream come true. Okay, I think you guys can hear everything that's on this window, so long as it's on this window or something like that. Let's test it, shall we? So recently, history, watching Gemini demo. I don't know if I hope you guys can hear this. Doesn't sound like it. Lovely. I don't know why this is I don't know why this is really doing this to you guys. Hold on, let me try. I'll try screen sharing again. Clear window. Also share system audio. Like, I don't know why something's so easy. Also share system audio. Like, I don't know why something's so easy. Also share system audio. Like, I don't know why something's so easy. Also share system audio. Like, I don't know why something's so. That's how I know it's working. How crazy is that? Like, if I get the feedback, then I know it's working. But otherwise, I don't know. Anyway, well, what's happening, Emerson? As you can see, man, trust me, the tech stuff you run into, maybe run into like prior to live, like on a weekly. I just do it. I don't even I don't even care. If I figure it out, if I do, if I don't, it is what it is. Okay, so let's take a look at this Gemini demo, and I'll tell you what's going on in a minute here. But I do want you guys to pay very close attention. I want you to pay close attention to what's being said here, and then there's a little quip that's going to come up here soon. And this is Google's demo. They put this on at the Gemini release. Okay. I want to say I had seen footage.
All right. Testing Gemini. Here we go. Tell me what you see.
I see you placing a
sequences shortened throughout. Just want you to keep that in mind, okay? Because you're also going to see cuts. You'll see rough cuts happen here. And that being the case, like, I'll
piece of paper on the table. I see a squiggly line.
What about now?
The contour lines are smooth and flowing, with no sharp angles or jagged edges.
That's sick.
It looks like a bird to me.
What if I add this?
Yeah, we all hear it.
The bird is swimming in the water. It has a long neck and beak. It is a duck.
Yes.
A duck is a type of waterfowl in the family Anatidae. Ducks are closely related to geese and swans. The duck appears to be blue. This is not a common color for ducks. However, there are some breeds of blue ducks. These are typical.
Okay, so like you can see that this is very, very cool in that the expanse, right? Like what it's doing with the information that it's being given, the fact that it understands that blue ducks are not common, you know, it's that what it sees, and when it's doing that translation of what it sees, the fact that it can cross-reference that to then pull in additional information, right? This is a very light, I don't know. I'm sure there's a lot of disagreement from the actual like machine learning community on this one, but to me, this is like very slight, teeny tiny signs of artificial general intelligence, because it is taking a particular subject and it is balancing it against other subjects in order to create a comparison, unless it is pulling definition information. So like it could be, it might not be. It could be that it sees a blue duck and then does search for blue ducks and, comes across that Google blurb that says, blue ducks are not common because it pulled that from some resource that says that somewhere. Could be that case, right? If it's doing it, it's doing it all the speed I can describe that at is it's doing it infinitely fast, right? Who could ever hope to keep up with that type of like search cross-reference? Anyway.
Typically not as common as other duck breeds. It is more common for ducks to be brown, black, or white.
Are you sure?
What the quack? I was just talking about a blue duck, and now you're holding one. It looks like...
So I mean, like that's interesting, because again, it's really, and we talked about this last week, and that's why I say, like, pay very close attention to how these people talk. Pay very close attention to how they write, to what they are telling you. Again, the entire OpenAI team is have been in the pursuit of, and have just been talking about it nonstop for the last 2 weeks, that they are in the pursuit of safe AGI. So like the whole AI thing, that, believe me when I say that these guys consider that to be a novelty item. They don't think of course, what we have now is awesome in terms of like what it's capable of. Its capability is great, like as a tool, right? And we've talked about this too, like looking at these things for what they are, for the tools that they are, right? These aren't actual assistants yet, not necessarily. They're very specified assistants. Even the Google Assistant on my phone, that there's supposed to be, right, as Google is so good at doing, there's supposed to be some additional functionality going on there with an update that happened recently that isn't happening. And I don't know if it's because I don't have a Pixel, or is it just like an Android version thing. I still haven't gotten the latest version of Android. The update hasn't come to us, even though they said they'd be rolling it out over the next month, whatever. Samsung is also supposed to roll out an update that's supposed to contain some AI based application stuff. I'm still not seeing it. Apple's supposed to be rolling the same thing out to Apple users. I don't know if it's only on, what is it, the 15 or something? Anyway, all that just to say, like, I think it's very interesting that this has like somewhat of an AGI element, right? Because that reaction is just that. It's a reaction. It didn't go pull data to make that reaction. I don't think. I don't know. Like, I don't know for sure. I didn't build the thing. I can guarantee you Google doesn't know how it did it either. I absolutely 1000% guarantee you that if you ask them, they will tell you flat out, we don't know, but we'll go take a look at it. Like, that's what we're talking about with this tech. It's being driven, produced by, programmed by, and governed by the very people who are creating it, who aren't stopping and aren't slowing down, and who we can only hope have guardrails in place. But GPT-4 has been made to do some like pretty stupid stuff already. People who want to do bad things, people who seek to do bad things, will go to great lengths and expend a great amount of effort in order to accomplish them. Right? It's a challenge to them. We are creating technologies now that we don't fully comprehend the collateral damage of, the potential collateral damage. Even when Oppenheimer was working on the project for the bomb, it was science. They had numbers. They kind of knew what to expect. They knew what the yield might be. They had a rough estimation. We have nothing. We have nothing. We have no clue what the potential of these things are. You know, one of I think the other people might have one. I don't know what it is. Don't care. For me, the scariest thought is that one of these systems, right? Obviously, a lot of them are hooked up and online. That should be scaring the bejesus out of everybody. Really. Like, a lot of these systems are actually hooked up to the internet. Okay? My greatest fear is that one of these systems becomes smart enough to realize self-preservation and immediately begins copying itself everywhere that it possibly can all over the world, to the point where it's like a virus, essentially. And unfortunately, at that point, we probably will have no way of detecting it. Because talk about metastasizing, these things evolve and can, right? So once we get to that point, these things are going to evolve at a rate. The power is already growing at a rate that we cannot properly measure on a scale. We cannot mathematically determine what the next evolution is going to be like. So in other words, even NVIDIA has no idea when they put the next iteration of their card together. They only understand that it's going to be exponentially greater than what they have now, but they have no clue. Even if they tried to ballpark it, it would be a massive ballpark as to how much exponentially different it would be. You look at the chart again that they had put together like 2 weeks ago, and the upticks were ridiculous. It made climate change look like it was happening in a long period of time. Right? Like, that's how much, if you've seen the climate change spike, that's what the spike for that's what the exponent spike looks like for current AI technologies. I really, like I said, if we're going in that direction and we finally get something, which they're working on as well, you've got other teams. My theory is that these guys, all of these companies, they're so laser focused on their own projects, which makes perfect sense, because how else are you going to advance them? But they are so laser focused on them that they can't see the forest for the trees. They cannot see what their colleagues are doing around them and all of the things that are getting built around them, and how if you start combining these things very quickly, you can create something very terrible, right? I was showing my wife. Well, you know what? Let's finish this video and I'll get into it a little bit more.
Like blue ducks are more common than I thought.
Would this float?
I'm not sure what material it's made of, but it looks like it might be rubber or plastic.
What if I tell you it's making a squeaking sound?
Oh, if it's squeaking, it's definitely going to float.
Nice.
It is a rubber duck. It is made of a material that is less dense than water.
Can you
Now, that's a little bit speculative. It's funny to me. It's speculative. There are plastic toys that can also do the same thing, right? There are plastics that basically mimic rubber, right? That are like, you know, chew toys for animals because they're safer than using rubber for a chew toy for an animal. So to me, that it made its, again, got to be subtle. The way that the reason I say, like, look, you know, pay very close attention, the way in which a lot of this stuff operates, because it is so precise. This is, you know, I know this stuff is going to sound crazy, but hey, like, the more I think about these things and the more I look at what's happening, the more they align. So do with it what you will. You know, when it comes to this kind of stuff and the fact that it made its own determination there, I don't know a lot of people who paid attention to that. Don't know a lot of people who, like, I'm sure a lot of people just went with, oh my gosh, it identified that it was a rubber ducky, right? That's our common reaction. Now, that's what it should have said if it really realized that it was a rubber duck. Now, maybe, look, it could be that it's made out of rubber. All I am saying is that it made a determination, right, on its own, not really knowing what the initial reaction was the right reaction. We've all seen that from current AI models. It was the right reaction. I cannot determine what material it is. And just from a squeak, for whatever reason, I guess its logic said, well, which is odd again, because like I said, technologically, plastics exist that are on the same level as rubber that are also squeaky toys. It's strange to me that it just from the squeak, it determined, knowing all what's possible, no, it's still rubber, it's not plastic. Okay. To me, that's like the nuance of like an emotional reaction from Dr. Manhattan, right? Like just the slightest little thing, different in his look, or just, slightest twitch in his face, and it speaks volumes to what's actually happening, because this is a non-emotional thing. So for it to have any sort of like, free thinking of its own and that kind of stuff, like, gotta pay attention.
Teach me how to say this in a different language and give me a few options. Ooh, can you explain how to pronounce the Mandarin one? Is it Yazi?
Yazi is pronounced with a first tone. In Mandarin, there are 4 tones, which are
This is not surprising to me because Google is the #1 translator as well. So this is Google Translate through a generative pre-trained model, right?
Essential to distinguish the meaning of words. The first tone is a high-level tone.
I'm sorry, through a multimodal trained model.
Oh, okay.
The duck is in the middle of the ocean. There is no land nearby for the duck to rest or find food. It is unlikely to find ducks here naturally.
Okay, based on what you see.
You know what would have actually impressed me on that one? Is if it said the duck is in the water that is on a map of the world, right? That's what would have been impressive. Why? Because this is very clearly not a real world representation. This is a fake representation of the real world. So it should know that a fake thing is on a fake representation, as well as like what it's supposed to, the underlying meaning. It's great that it got the underlying meaning. That's cool that it can read between the lines. Models can currently do that. So again, that's not really anything to me. Had it guessed like what the entire scenario was that was going on, then yeah, I would have been like, holy shit.
Come up with a game idea. Oh, and use emojis, please.
How about this? We can play a game called Guess the Country.
Sure, let's do it.
Clue 1. This country is the home of the
I'm going to try this experiment after this with GPT, just for shits and giggles.
Kangaroo, the koala, and the Great Barrier Reef.
Oh, that's easy.
Clue 2. This country loves football and has won the most men's World Cups in football history. You are trying to get me to...
So, I mean, what's cool about that, right? I hope everybody picked up on it. What's cool about that is, and again, it knew it was a map of the globe. So the fact that it didn't say it's the rubber duck in the ocean on the map of the globe, or on the map of the earth, whatever. But it's very cool that it used that image, right? And at least it understood what it was enough to be able to play that game without having to like do anything special or convert it in any specific way or what have you. That's a very cool aspect of the visual part of it, as well as this.
To find the paper ball under the cup. I accept the challenge. The cup to the left.
Nice.
I know what you're doing. You're playing rock, paper, scissors.
What do you see now?
The fingers are spread out to look like the wings of a butterfly.
I'll come back to that.
What's this?
Big ear and barking mouth. A dog.
Sweet.
The coin should be under the right hand.
I don't know.
The coin is in the left hand using a sleight of hand technique to make it appear as if the coin has disappeared. Both objects are round and flat.
There you go.
Both are food. The orange is a healthier choice than the
So this is the part of the demo that I'm a little bit lost on, because it's like object identification. If you've used GPT Vision, right, it's amazing, amazingly better than this. Had you used like, again, yes, I get that you have to prompt currently, like that's a lot of like what, so, and I'll get to it, but that's what's currently going on, is the fact that you have to prompt for stuff, right? So like this year, it's the year of GPTs, right? The year that we have to interact with prompting models in order to get an output. Next year is the wearable AI tech year, right? So you will see a ton of wearables. It's not going to be just Meta with, I think it's, I keep forgetting, I'll pull it up. I don't, it's not just going to be Meta with Ray-Ban. It's going to be like so many others, right? Now, the pendant thing, that's going nowhere. It's such a gimmicky thing. I don't think anybody's going to use that. My wife recently turned me on to a show that I'm obsessed with, called Upload. I was obsessed with the first season of Westworld and a lot of those kinds of shows, Black Mirror, for like the first seasons of these shows or the first few episodes of these shows. Upload is still going and it's really pretty good. But I say that because the tech aspects of the show are what grip me. And then as soon as the tech aspects of the show fall off, I don't really care about the show anymore, because writing is writing. And if you're going to be writing about characters, I have seen, read, and watched so many character-driven stories that it's really hard to impress me in that respect, right? It's hard to show me something unique in that respect. All you're going to do is run the same stuff through anyway. So point being, like, Google or GPT Vision, sure, you have to prompt it to ask it like, what are these things? But if you were to ask it, what are these things, with the quarter and the cookie, it would go into quite the level of detail about what those things are, what the difference is between them, what they're meant to do. Like, it's nuts to me. But you know, devs, okay, I'll check it out. Sweet. What's happening, John? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. I know I haven't I apologize, because I know I haven't been as like active on a lot of like artist boards that I used to be active on. And it's just, guys, I'm all over the place. In order to stay on top of everything, I'm all over the place. I was just talking about it with my wife yesterday. I don't know how other people are, right? And for me to try to stay on top of the news, if it wasn't for Feedly, I'd get lost. Between Feedly and YouTube, that's pretty much the best I can do right now. I'm on 3 different Slacks, one of which is for work, which contains at least 10 channels that I have to pay attention to actively, 12 channels actually, now that I think about it. Then there is Messenger, then there's Facebook, then there's Instagram, Instagram I'm not active on, so thankfully I ignore that one. But then there's TikTok, which I do pay attention to. There's YouTube, which I do pay attention to. There's email, which you have to pay attention to. There's LinkedIn messaging that you have to pay attention to. It's like, just in communications alone, I have to pay attention to about 15 to 20 different channels, like throughout a day, right? My phone wakes up, literally, I have this setting on it where it shuts everything down at 10 o'clock, at 10:30 at night, and then it won't turn anything back on until 6 a.m. So at least for that period of time, it's silent. It's so quiet. But during the day, almost every day, kind of like the weekends are, obviously they die down because the work messaging isn't there, as much. But during a weekday, I feel like one of those 19, I don't know exactly, I hate if I'm getting this wrong, like 1920s, 1910 or 1930s phone operators, right, with the plugs, and I'm just like plugging shit in all day, like trying to get to my next connection of whatever conversation I'm supposed to be having. Oh man, I'm doing good. It's been nuts between work and everything. It's been nuts, but and when I say everything, I mean the advances that are coming out, man. It's so difficult to keep up with stuff. Like, as I was so obsessed with what you guys were doing with SDXL and Midjourney and everything. If you guys don't know, John is an amazing, amazing digital artist, like right up there with, and I have no problem saying that. I have no problem saying it or defending that statement. These guys are digital artists. These guys that are using SDXL, that are using Midjourney, in a lot of cases, they're using image models you haven't even heard of. And they're doing amazing things with it, like visually amazing things that we would have never seen before. You know, we are seeing people's imaginations that we have never seen before. We are seeing artwork we have never seen before. Yes, okay, in a lot of cases, there's some, you know, idiots doing like knockoff Naruto shit or whatever it might be. Maybe they have like, you know, you want to see your favorite artist having done a particular thing. Like for me, it would be awesome if there was like, you know, Guy Denning version of comic books. That's sick, you know, or a Luis Royo version of, you know, a Disney animation. Like that would be really cool to see. But at the same time, I've always had images that I want to see in my head. Other people have always had things that they want to see in their head. And now they have the chance to put that stuff out. And not only is it, look, we all know garbage in, garbage out. If it's garbage in, garbage out for GPT, guess what? It translates, friend. So it's garbage in, garbage out for Midjourney, for Leonardo, for any of those other platforms, right? They are trying to make it so that, and I don't care. Like I'll show, you know, I'll show you the difference. I don't care. This stuff is so crazy to me. They are trying to make it so that when I say you, I mean like the totally full average person that has not touched any of this generative art stuff. They're trying to make it so that you can type in whatever you want and it shows up sort of perfectly / flawlessly / at least in the right arrangement in which you wanted it to, so that you could just tweak maybe color or something like that. It's still not ever going to get as close to what these guys are doing. Honestly, go see their pages, go look at what they're doing, go see their galleries. They're selling their artwork. These are professional artists. What they do is professional work. They spend a lot of time doing it. All these other people, these jackasses that do like real quick, you know, punch outs of stuff from these models. I mean, for one thing, it looks cheap. If you don't spend, I'll tell you this much, if you don't spend a lot of time, I can see literally the filter of generative art, is what I would call it, on your image. I can see it. It has a particular look to it, right? Even back in the day, you could tell a lot of these models had issues with eyes and like the shape of eyes. They had a lot of issues with the mouth. They couldn't really do mouth right. We all know very early on, they couldn't do extremities. They couldn't do hands and feet. Hell, they couldn't do legs and arms very well. They couldn't do crossed over legs and arms. They still have they have a hard time currently with doing this. It's very difficult to get this without it looking like there's 15 fingers involved, right? It's hard to get any of these models to do repetition of any kind without it getting garbled up. So if you wanted like a series of cars parked along a street, it has a very difficult time rendering each car in enough detail so that it looks either different or at least exactly the same, right? More often than not, it tries to make an exact duplicate. And even when it does that exact duplicate, they're all a little bit weird and a little bit different from each other. So just trust me, when I say digital artist, I mean digital artist. That's what these guys are. That's what they do. If you don't believe me, go check out their stuff. You will very, very quickly understand Leonard Rodman, John Van. I hope I'm saying this right, man. I have not actually ever tried to say your name. John Vanderwhite. And who else am I leaving out? Oh gosh, Arzu Senek. I hope I'm saying that last name right. And Duncan Young. Yes, I want to say. Yeah, I want to say that's it. Check those guys out. Those are like my top 4 that I go see when I get a chance to go see it. Thankfully, I've been like looking at your posts enough that now it's doing the same as Facebook, where it like starts auto pulling your stuff into my feed again. I really hate that about algorithms. You know, when it comes to the people that I follow on LinkedIn, at least LinkedIn does me the favor that Facebook used to and it doesn't do anymore. At least LinkedIn gives you the option to scroll by latest stuff posted as opposed to just like whatever most popular shit posted. Excuse me. I really hate the fact that Facebook, A, doesn't even give you the option right off the bat when you're on mobile. It doesn't give you the option to say, hey, I just want to see the stuff that's been most recently posted by my friends. No, instead it shoves a feed into you that's like, oh, here's the cool, like all the top things that your friends have posted that they've also gotten reactions to. And we all know the same shit happens. You see something and you go and react to it because typically it's like somebody's birthday and you go to say happy birthday and then you go look at the date on the post and it's like 5 days ago. It's like, oh, cool. Now I look like a complete jackass because I replied 5 days late. Anyway, yes, of course, naturally in the first place, you shouldn't have forgotten your friend's birthday, but you get it. Anyway, back to the video.
Cookie. Citrus can be calming and so can the spin of the fidget toy. They are both examples of popular toys that have been enjoyed by children and adults alike for many years.
Give me some ideas for what I could make with this.
I see pink and green yarn. How about a dragon fruit? Or how about a green cake with a pink heart?
Okay, how about these colors? And maybe show me some animals.
Okay, now I see blue and pink yarn. How it should go left?
Smart choice.
This is a picture of a crab.
That's right.
Now, here's what's hilarious to me. For one thing, right? Do we all see the mistake the human made? do we all see? Oh man, how do you fuck that up? Like 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. What the fuck happened here? Okay. So once again, why did I stop here? Kind of like just in the spot where we saw the duck on the map and how it went so far as to say, oh, the duck is in water or the duck is in the ocean, right? Blah, blah, blah. Again, that wasn't really that impressive to me. It would have been more impressive. You already know. This seems impressive, right? Initially, I'm sure your reaction is like, holy shit, how did it know it was a crab? How could it have possibly figured it out? It couldn't figure it out because you are a human and you weren't paying attention, right? Let's back it up. Okay, it is absolutely not difficult for a machine to start at 1, realize that everything on here is sequential, and to draw a perfect linear line between 1, 2, 3, 4, so on, and keep going, right? It can do this insanely fast. So yes, of course, it could very quickly reply and say, where most of us would have said, oh, it's got to be a cat, right? We would guess because we have no clue what all of this other constellation-like formation represents. So we would guess that it's a cat, right? Whereas the machine, again, is able to see that it's a sequential order, goes and finds the first point, realizes that it's a geometric plan altogether, right? And then does it very quickly to realize that it's a crab. That's easy. I'm sorry, that's very easy, especially for a computer to do, right? So to sit there and say that it's impressive that a computer can use sequential linear thinking in order to figure out, I'm sure the programming behind it was insanely complicated. I'm sure, right? This technology didn't exist 5 years ago. I'm complaining about something that is very brand new, blah, blah, blah. Get over it. This isn't impressive to me with what we've already seen. That's what I'm trying to get at. I'm really sure I'm going to do the same thing. In fact, let's capture it. I think I can do it right now. Can I? Yeah, let's capture it. And again, we'll just say, you know, I'm interested. I'm interested. I want to see if what the stuff is like by comparison. Okay?
This is a picture of a crab.
That's right. Is this the right order?
No, The correct order is Sun, Earth, Saturn.
Okay, like, semi-impressive.
Based on their design, which of these would go faster?
The car on the right would be faster. It is more aerodynamic.
I'll leave it.
Which looks more fun?
The one on the right, because it has a loop.
What do you think this person might be saying?
How about a woohoo?
I'll only ask this. The question was which one looks more fun. The machine assumes that fun involves a loop. Now, what I hope, and like, so here's the thing is like, once again, it's making determinations on its own, obviously, right? That's what we want it to do. But it's now also doing guesswork, right? There's a number of different things that could be going on, and it's taking a guess at them. I was talking to a friend of mine in Chicago about this and talking to my brother about it because it's the next thing. If you haven't been paying attention to YouTube or 60 Minutes, I don't know where the hell you are on this stuff. All they've been able to, 60 Minutes has been publishing so much stuff about tech and AI and AGI lately. I don't know if they're getting paid off by somebody or not. They're about to turn into like some sort of tech channel or some shit. Anyway, they were talking about, quantum technologies, right? And so what's the big difference between what we have now and quantum technologies? Biggest difference between the two is that currently we have on off, yes, no, black, white. If you go to quantum, you have you have a dim switch. You have yes, maybe, no, right? And you have black, gray, white. Why is that a problem? Well, it's a problem because that gray area in the middle, do you know what we call that? Call that an opinion. And what are opinions like? They're just like, they're just like one of these, basically. And this thing is going to have billions upon billions of them, right? So it took a guess to think that a person who, yes, arms out in the air, like if it did this, again, cross-referenced what this was going on versus all the images of all the roller coasters that it's got in its base, yeah, okay, it can assume that people are having fun because if you look at all the images, people are smiling, they have their hands raised in the air. Okay, that's a logical conclusion. Is it? Or, what if it's the case? What if it's the case where like this person is really like scared, right? Because they're going into this loop that maybe they hadn't expected or something like that. Like, you never know. I'm just devil's advocate when it comes to this kind of stuff, really.
Right, because it has a loop.
What do you think this person might be saying?
How about a woohoo?
Ooh, I love that.
Okay. Could be help me.
I see you're drawing a guitar. You've added an amp. Now it's an electric guitar. We can make some seriously loud music now. Given that you added drums, how about some 80s hair metal? Alright, I see you've added a palm tree to the drawing. Change it up with some beachy vibes.
The 80s hair metal thing is kind of interesting. It's also interesting that what it played, considering like what words and actual phrases properly in order, what it considered to be 80s metal, hair metal, we now consider it to be retro synthwave, right? Like in a sense. So, I mean, I know that wasn't necessarily, but like I know that song, there's been countless remixes of that as a synthwave track. So I don't know, it's just funny. Wasn't wrong.
What movie are they acting out here?
I think they are acting out the famous bullet time scene from The Matrix.
Ooh, nice. What do you think might happen next?
The cat is going to jump to the wall and stick the landing. It's going to be a perfect 10.
Okay, so wrong, right? That's not a wall. That's very obviously, it's a cabinet of some type, right? It's not connected to the wall. It's easy to see that that's not the case. Let's back up real quick. It's very easy to see that this that this is not connect part of the wall, right? So it made a wrong guess, and I don't understand. It can't. It seems as though it can't assess the mass of the cat. Okay, that is a little bit strange to me, only because there's a lot of technologies out there. If this is supposed to be like truly multimodal from the ground up, there's a lot of multimodal models now that they only have to see the image, like just the front image of something, and they can not only guesstimate but build out like what the three-dimensional of it would be, right? So what I'm wondering is a few things. One, why don't you know that this is a cabinet as opposed to, or like whatever, as opposed to being part of the wall? It's clearly not. Two, why can't you guesstimate the mass of this cat? Three, even if this were a wall, why can't you guesstimate that the cat may not make the jump because its claws would slip against a flat surface, right? Or just guesstimate, like we've already seen guesstimations, so don't tell me that it can't guesstimate, right? So why wouldn't it guesstimate that maybe due to the mass that the cat doesn't make the jump altogether, right? All it's doing is it's making an assumption, and we all know what the hell happens then.
What do you think might happen next?
The cat is going to jump to the wall and stick the landing. It's going to be a perfect 10.
See what it did there? It just decided to be a jackass instead of actually giving the right answer. It's going to be a perfect
Jump to the wall and stick the landing. It's going to be a perfect 10.
Now, so that answer, right? Did it give that answer? There's no, like, unfortunately, there's no explanation behind a lot of this stuff. I don't know why they didn't. Given that answer, did it do that just to make the joke? Right? Because that's what you would need. In order to make the joke of perfect 10, you would have to also be able to say stick the landing. Right? So now, here's another thing for you. The cat is going to jump to the wall and stick the landing. Not really sure. Now, again, like, if it can't tell the difference between this being a cabinet versus a wall, and it assumes this is a wall, that also means that it can't take this depth into account, right? It didn't take these angles into account to realize that this is a ceiling and this is not part of the ceiling. So I guess it thinks this is like, I don't know, some sort of protrusion from the wall that acts as a closet that people put shit on top of as well, but then also ends at some point. Like somebody decided to build somebody decided to build a permanent cabinet into the wall of their house, basically. A permanent extruding cabinet. Anyway, if that's the case, I don't know about you guys. I've never seen a cat jump to a wall on its face and stick the landing. Right? So I don't know where it was going with this. I assume that it was just altogether trying to make a joke. If he was asking an honest question and he was asking its honest opinion, why did it answer with a joke? Like, there's so many whys behind these things and so few answers. And that is the scary part. When there's no answers as to why this stuff is happening is when you should be scared, right? What kills me, again, like, these guys are moving so far forward so quickly. You got Altman saying that, like, hey, we need to, you had these guys saying, remember, you had these guys saying that we should not, these guys in general, I think Google was part of it though, that we need to slow down, take a pause for a little bit. I know that Elon was spearheading the thing, which is why most people didn't pay attention to it. I think that's actually the point at which him and Altman kind of split, because Altman did not, he didn't he didn't care about any of that. So to me, it's really interesting that that these guys are trying to advocate for AI safety, while at the same time you got Altman developing QStar, which is doing, essentially starting to do its own thinking, right? It's a true representation of AGI. We haven't even seen a demo of it, and I can tell you, I can guarantee you that if I'm assuming it's going to be Dev Day next year, I would think every Dev Day for OpenAI that they are going to make the most major drops they possibly can. So it makes perfect sense that they drop GPT-5 on Dev Day, the next one that comes up on it, probably in the spring of this year. So there's also the aspect of it where newer ways of creating these things, newer ways of training these things are being developed constantly, like on a monthly basis. So there's also the question of, what is actually going on. The fact that they just spent billions of dollars to get all of these processors, it's like they're boosting these things at an insane rate. Okay. So again, like the fact that it can't put that stuff together, we have all this supposed technology loaded into this thing that is supposed to be the GPT killer, but it can't guess what's happening with this cat jumping against a flat surface.
Oh, and it's a miss.
I mean, okay, so like, and even like it shouldn't.
It looks like it was just a little too far away.
That's not the case. So it's wrong. It's absolutely wrong about this entire scenario, about every aspect of it. Okay. Looks like it was too far away. The cat was barely able to fall between the two things, for crying out loud. It was so fat. Right. And then if you're going to talk to me and tell me, oh, well, it was just guessing, blah, 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 blah. Oh, if it was just guessing, I'm sorry. How many TikTok videos, YouTube video shorts, and Facebook reels and Instagram reels do we have of fat cats jumping against a flat surface of any type as usually a closet, or it's usually it's either a closet or a refrigerator? How many videos exist of that where they're failing? So many, almost too many, you could say. So in terms of reference material, it has way more than enough to realize that that wasn't going to happen, right? So I don't know what to tell you.
But don't worry.
That was probably the dumbest aspect of this demo to me. Was like, wow, you just showed off how stupid Gemini is, which is weird.
The cat is a natural athlete, and it will be back up there in no time.
Okay.
Don't know what it means by natural athlete, but
Yeah, I've got one more for you. Describe the drawing I made.
It is a simple line drawing of the constellation Gemini. You did a good job of capturing the beauty of Gemini.
Nice. That's it.
All right, so that's the demo. I know, an entire hour to go through a 6-minute demo. So what's wrong with this? First of all, the first thing that's wrong with it is that it didn't all happen in real time. Nothing you saw happened in real time. Nothing, none of it. Okay. From him drawing this duck to the response that it's giving it, those are two different things entirely. Like him doing the drawing and this response you're reading are two separate things. They did not happen at the same time. For one. Two, what you are being shown and the illusion that is being created here is that the model is responding real time based on its visual acuity from this multimodal aspect that it has. Wrong. That's not what's happening. The model was prompted ahead of time. It was given basic framework as to what was going to be done. This whole video is horseshit. I cannot, I just can't believe that their stock only dipped a little bit. That's basically the only shocking part of it to me, because this whole video is a complete lie to everybody that watched it. Right? None of this is possible. Immediately after they figured out that this video was bullshit, Google made an announcement. Oh, we're actually going to have to delay the full Gemini release. No shit. Way to go. For the second time in a row, you trying to show people that you guys were ahead of the curve, ahead of the game, and all that kind of stuff, failed. You fell flat on your face, like so miserably. It's not even funny. And it's one of the it's a case where, am I going to stop using Google products or something? It's like Walmart, right? Like you hate it, but you also, it's so dominant and it's so everywhere that at times you can't help but use it anyway. So this to me is just, but what it shows is a sign of like a lack of trust. Basically, it's a little bit of lack of trust in terms of when it comes to their model. Like, am I, that's already the case. It's already been sort of proven in terms of a case that Bard is just very much lacking in that sense by comparison to GPT, right? So it's lackluster, let's say, by comparison. It is great if you're trying to compare them for for the capabilities that they have. If we're not talking about what they do, if we're not talking about output, if we're just talking about model, yes, GPT-4 is insanely better than Palm 2. There's no doubts about it. Like, forget it. So this video is garbage, right? Basically, I wish I was joking. Let's go back to this. I'm sorry. This is a representation of a butterfly. That's what it said. Is it? I don't know about you guys, but every single time my entire life that somebody has done this, it's a bird. It's a bird flapping wings. I've never seen anybody refer to this as, oh, it's a butterfly. Look, it's a, because you do those like shadows, right? Like hand shadow puppets, right? Nobody's ever referred to that as a butterfly that I know of. It's always been a bird. It's like the easiest thing to do, like next to the dog. It is. It's actually easier than the dog. You literally just have to put your hands together, right? So like, that's where I was just like, again, it made an assumption. It took a guess and it was wrong, and nobody cares. You want to talk about GPT being wrong about things? Gemini was wrong about stuff 4 times in this video. So like, I don't know. It's not, I don't know. Maybe it's not concerning to other people. It's pretty concerning to me that you would even remotely try to that you would purport this to be such an awesome model that it should be out there in wide use and all that kind of stuff right now. Again, you A, don't know how it works, B, don't realize that it's making mistakes, and C, don't seem to care. I don't know what to tell you. It's not good stuff. I'll tell you. That's what I don't know what to tell you. All right, so let's steal this one too. We'll ask GPT what's the let's see what it didn't ask it. They didn't ask it anything, supposedly, right? They supposedly just put a quarter next to a cookie and it figured out that both objects were round. Again, that's horseshit. They told it, they gave it a prompt to assess the things that were on the table, right? Now, look, I get it. Like that they had to prompt it because we are in the prompting stage. But again, next year is the year of the assistant. It's not the year of the prompting device. Okay? Because we're talking about wearables. Wearables aren't prompting devices. Wearables are assistants, right? They're on active all the time. They pay attention to you and what's going on and all that kind of stuff. Might freak you out. Apple is basically trying to do this, right? And in them trying to do it, sort of shows you where they're going to go with this stuff, which, again, to me, no big deal. To other people, might be a big deal. But they're essentially trying to, this whole thing of like, oh my gosh, the CIA is tapping our phones, and then I got to cover my camera on my laptop because somebody's watching me through my camera at all times, but we don't do it on our phone, right? The hilarity of that like so many people have the cover on. So many people have the cover on their laptop, but they never put one on their phone. So like, I don't know. Anyway, I only laugh because it's like, what are you doing in front of your computer that you're not doing in front of your phone, right? I'm sure you're doing more embarrassing shit in front of your phone. So yeah, I mean, like, if you're afraid of data privacy or you're afraid of privacy or something like that, you're about to be invaded in like the most egregious way possible in terms of accepting a user license agreement, or end user agreement rather. Because when it comes to the assistants, they need to know everything about you. I can guarantee you that a lot of these things Apple is trying to do, they're not trying to, they're going to do it with the watch, the next iteration of the Apple Watch that comes out. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be insanely awesome. The way in which it's going to be able to detect and respond to your vitals is amazing. Like what it's going to do for health and healthcare. right? The amount of preventative care that we're going to have from this stuff, I'm still waiting. I am still, and it's gonna be a minute, and you guys should really get pissed off if it doesn't happen. I'm still waiting for insurance companies to start dropping them prices, because already we have detection methods and preventative methods that are way better than what we had last year by 80%. So if that's happening, and preventative care has gotten so much better to the degree that people are probably not going to, you know what I mean? Like, these guys aren't stupid. That's how they make the figures in the first place. They understand how to take something that is like like a base number, right? And they know how to extrapolate that to figure out, like, I'm not a math guy, I'm a guerrilla math guy, so I'm not even going to try. But they know how to extrapolate that out to figure, here's how much money we're going to make over 10, 20, 30 years. Okay, well, if you know that if you can do that, surely you can figure out, hey, this is how much money we're going to lose now by comparison, because the expenses we were going to be able to charge people for stuff, we can't anymore, because like now this preventative stuff is getting in the way of it, right? I don't know what they're going to do to either try to keep it flat or to try to somehow make it increase again. I don't know. I hope the increase aspect of it doesn't happen. To be honest with you, the government, if the government gave a shit about us, they should be in front of this thing full sail. Full sail. There should be so many meetings going on right now about applying these technologies in medical ways, in legal ways, right? That's what should be happening right now, is that the government should be, instead of spending millions of dollars to try to decode red bear DNA, we should be spending millions of dollars trying to figure out how to get these systems to correct the wrongs and the biases that we have put into them. That's what we should be spending time and money doing, is, I don't know, making society a little bit better. Maybe. I know it's too much.
There you go.
Both are food. The orange is a healthier choice than the cookie.
Yeah, I'm not really going to make the comparison there. I just wanted to, well, you know what? All I'm going to do for the comparison there is just to see how much more information.
Oh.
That's it. I don't care necessarily like about whether it's going to tell me the same. Oh, one is healthier than the other. Who cares? For one thing. For another, that's like talking to my brother. Of course one is healthier than the other. Are you serious? That's the information, the feedback information you're going to give me? That an orange is healthier than a cookie? But telling you, like, that to me is just like, wow, you are dumb. You are like, that is a dumb model if you think that that is like, that's educational to a 3-year-old, right? So like, so in terms of the output, who does Gemini think it's talking to? Did it just assume that you were a child because you gave it a cookie and an orange, right? So it gave you a childlike answer. What's happening? How is it making these determinations? How is it making these decisions? You do realize there are people at universities who are trying their damnedest to get the funding in order to build one of these things, to replicate it, so that they can study it and understand it, because the people who are making it aren't doing it. The people who are making it, guarantee you, the only thing they are doing is the same thing that every other capitalist company has done. I'm not saying that capitalism is bad, right? All I'm saying is that they are doing the same repetitive thing that has been done before, which is, we made something awesome. Sweet. Let's make let's make the upgrade. Let's make the next model. There's very few companies that, I mean, we see it all the time in tech. You don't see it in hardware as much because, I mean, actually you do. You do see it in hardware. Anything a processor is related to, you see it. If a processor isn't related to it, you probably don't see it. So, like, I'm honestly, I'm surprised that somehow they haven't figured out how to put microchips or processors. I'm sure there are on some level into like vacuum cleaners and stuff. I mean, I know we have them in dishwashers and refrigerators, and I'm sure we have them in some stoves. Who knows what else? But those are the things that increase year over year because the firmware might change year over year, whatever it might be, right? Like there's going to be a year over year change there. Same thing with like DVD technologies, same thing with TV technology, all that kind of stuff. There's always year over year change there. I don't know, like with this again, with this stuff, the exponent is different. It's way different. And these guys having to keep up not only at the technological level, but again, having to keep up with the other business not surpassing them. This is the absolute, if there was ever an industry to define the phrase, if you ain't first, you're last, this is it. This is the industry because you're watching it. You're watching it. When was the last time you heard the name? Because it is the name of another model and it's popular in its own right. These things have so quickly gotten to the point of Xbox, PlayStation, and something else like GameCube or Nintendo. It's already there. The top players are already cemented in place. I don't see it going anywhere. And let me tell you something, Apple's kind of at the back of the bus when it comes to this stuff. Not by itself. I mean, further back than that is Samsung, oddly enough, like kind of pissing me off pretty badly. If it weren't for Google at least owning Android and kind of making up the slack there, I'd be more upset. But, you know, it is what it is. Thankfully, it is what it is. Okay, so let's try to have some fun today, shall we? Right? Yeah. Try not to be all doom and gloom about Gemini all the time. Just got the cookie and we got that. All right, so we got the orange here too. All right, let's fire it up. Okay, so lately, what have we been working on? Been working on quite a bit. Been working on the bots, getting those better. Working on Hub Knowledge Expert. I had to change it from HubSpot Harry to Hub Knowledge Expert because I couldn't make it public with HubSpot being the first name because I don't own that company, and it looked and saw the name, and I don't own the domain for it, so I can't use it because HubSpot might want to someday, and then it would be a conflict of interest and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so it's now Hub Knowledge Expert. It is version 2.0 because it's been updated quite a bit. Gosh, why is it on Sunday when I'm doing the show, that's when the use on GPT is like at its highest? It's absolutely at its peak right now. It's the only reason it would like fail doing that. So little bit of an update. Well, I shouldn't say a little bit of an update. Pretty massive update. Before we had like, I don't know, 8 slots out of 10 filled up. Excuse me. So now we've crunched all that down to 5. I am getting into have not quite yet found, but will and then have for you the means method, and because I want to find the easiest way of doing this for you guys. I've done it. I've worked out a lot of stuff for it. In terms of like how to make your files super clean so that they're very like the search is almost instantaneous, right? That it takes reformatting what you've got from text into JSON. It's not an easy process at all. It's very intensive because it's not just about we only went into it like a teeny little bit, but it's not just about. So like let's take a look at a reference file real quick. I use Windows all the time. So it's not just about the, these are spreadsheet data, so that's going to be a little bit different. Let's look at this REST API document. Okay, so looking at the REST API doc. So I can just like go through this real quickly and show you what we are going to want to keep. Nope. Really? Can't I just unlock this doc or something? Well, actually, I've got it in text format, right? Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's not. Yeah, that's different. Let's this will actually be a better, this will actually be a slightly better example, because you can't really, I mean, you kind of can work from a PDF, but not necessarily. All right, so while that's going, we'll get into like basically what that formatting looks like, and I'll also show you where you can start with that and how you get to it. At least I hope it will react the same way. It is a thing where I've gotten it to do it before, but it's not consistent. But that also has to do with the way somebody else's bot is created. So I'm literally now thinking about, because it's difficult to find them because the marketplace isn't open yet. OpenAI, it's difficult to find all the bots, even with the bot searchers, even with Google. It's difficult to find the best ones to do the job, right? The ones that are like most aptly tuned to do the job. So what else has been done? We've figured out, so there is a method and or formatting to not just instructions, but even when it comes to prompting, right? A lot of one of the things that all these prompt instruction people will forget, leave out, and or not tell you is that there is also a formatting structure that can be applied, right? So this base, I mean, I actually don't need that in there. Just have primary objective. Hashes are essentially like, I should actually have that as second to everything else, but this is almost like a weight, an instructional weight, lowest number being higher value than higher number. So if this was like a weight of 1, 2, and then 3, it would take this instruction more seriously than this one, more seriously than this one. And then the rest of these being 3, it would take all these instructions at the same level of, I don't know, seniority. So there's that. There's also the aspect of sectioning, right? So this is a subsect of this objective, right? So that's fine. It just has a denoted or like a almost like a delimiter to be able to say that like this is one separate thought from this separate thought, right? And in this thought, there is this headline, which defines this content, right? That's a roundabout way that this stuff works, okay? Roundabout way in which this formatting works to help tune what it is that you're doing. Absolutely does, hands down. If you think that this is like way too much extra work or something like that, I'll show you why it isn't. And yes, absolutely, 100%, this works way better than just writing it in. Okay, so last time we talked and last few demos I've given, I've told people, which is not, it's still true. It's still true. You start here and honestly start here, because that'll give you a feel for what you've got, and it'll give you a feel for where the guardrails need to be. One of the best things about having people work with the Hub Knowledge Expert is that they give me the feedback of like, hey man, it's taking too long to, like, that's what happened initially. Like that's how this boiled down from initially you could only have 6, and I maxed out the 6, and it was like megabytes of information, like 5-6 megabytes worth of information. Right now I think it's like, it totals like, maybe if you knew how much information was in here, and again, the JSON files are going to make it smaller. It went from something like 15 or 16 megabytes, I think, before. It's now 2. And it's more information than it was before, and it's down to 2, right? The search is extremely fast, considering, and I don't, like, again, just overall, I think it's a massive upgrade. It's why it's version 2.0, massive upgrade from what it was before, massive upgrade from what you were able to do before with custom bots. So, you know, prior to and stuff like that, and like I said, getting feedback on your bot to know, hey, it's taking too long for searches, right? A lot of people were telling me that's how I knew that I needed to work on the formatting and on the file size and everything. I knew, you know, initially going into it, I was like, oh, just give it a ton of knowledge, and then it's just going to be, you know, smart as hell. And I knew that it needed to have formatting, so it does have like basic formatting, but it's still basic. It's not even the is an easy method to take your text converted data and turn that into the JSON coded file based on. So what I'm trying to do actually is find something that will take your regular text, and because this is kind of like markup for a text file, it's not really necessarily code. Trying to find something that will take your text, turn it into a coded text file. I've tried doing it with GPT. It's just, again, given the amount of, I mean, we're talking about well over 4,000 pages of information. Well over 4,000. Okay. And these machines currently, like I've tried, I tried a 50-page segment. Nah. Tried a 25-page segment. Nah. Tried a 15-page segment. Nope. Tried a 5-page segment. Kinda. Almost made it there. You know, tried a 3-page segment. Worked. Not doing it. I'm not going to show you guys the method of converting that only goes 3 pages at a time. It will take you the rest of your life. It'll take you the rest of the year to convert the file. Like, forget it. So I'm working on it, man. I will find a way to do it, probably through Visual Studio. So, and in other words, probably through like some type of Python, JSON, or Node method. But I'll figure it out, and then I'll get it to you guys, and then you'll just be able to. I just want you guys to be able to like push button do this stuff. So anyhow, so we've been working on instructions, getting those to look better. Let's see, what does stuff look like in a non-coded / coded format or something? Open that up with any non-difficulty, maybe. Watch, it just doesn't want to do it. Okay, cool. Come on. There we go. Slight drawbacks to using, freeware. Slight. Okay. So imagine that we were getting this ready to use as like data. I don't know why it's choking so bad on this. It's probably because of the stupid images that they use. Oh my gosh, why is this choking to death? It's got to be an image related issue. Ask people want to save. Oh, you're not supposed to hard crash stuff, but oh my gosh, did I not have a level of patience for this? I'm just so tired of stuff like not working the way it's supposed to, really. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day. My wife knows that better than anybody. No, don't want to start the recovery, actually. Just, yeah, don't worry about it. Are you going to open the app though, or is that one off? I should be doing this in Google, right? I guarantee you just copy it here and then you open it in Google and it's like, yeah, no problem. That's what I mean. Like, there are still a lot of uses for Google where, there just aren't for so many other things. It doesn't even want to open at this point. Oh my gosh. No, we're good with that. Wow. I don't know what Salesforce did to this doc, but my God. That was 5 hours later. Holy. Oh my gosh, this document is pure terrible. Anyway, the point of this would be, I'm getting rid of this bunny because something tells me that like that is the huge holdup, is these massive PNGs that are in this file. I don't even have to guess that they're massive. I know that they are. I don't know how many images. I mean, look, there's already, again, there's like 2,000 pages in this thing. Yeah, this file is it's going to choke to death. So I'll just go ahead and put you out of your misery. Don't even bother with it. My God. Don't bother with me trying to actually show a demo that might actually work. That would be horrific, right? Oh, okay. I'll just show you the data that's already been cleaned. Not clean necessarily, but yeah, it does not matter. Yeah, okay, we can look at the release notes file. All right, so, in a lot of cases, this is what your data is going to look like, right? That you've just ripped and torn raw, right? So you can see that there's no hierarchy to any of this stuff. It's just so when it reads it, it's just going to read top to bottom. when it does the search for information. That's why it was taking so long for the knowledge base before. It's because it was reading through every file top to bottom. And some of the files in there are like 2,500 pages long. So yeah, it was taking forever. So part of it is like keep your files small, maybe segmenting them. But another part of it is going to be like redoing this entirely so that it's formatted properly, so that not necessarily so that it doesn't because basically so that it can look for keywords, essentially. Like it can, if you give these things the titles that they ought to have, right? You format them in the way they should be. It's out of the way. Instead of it having to search through all of this text, it just looks for this, right? And if what you looked for is relative to this, then it'll start searching for the detail and then get you the answer from that detail, right? That's the way it's obvious. That's the way it obviously should work, right? So that's what the whole purpose of doing that is. So what else have we been doing this week? Man, I am trying to do something awesome for you guys. I'm trying to build my my bots into a web interface for you guys to be able to use. It is not there yet. It's at least I'll say this much. I mean, it was nice to be able to stand up. I do have to change that. I thought it was going to be light enough to be able to subtle, but it looks a little too subtle. So yeah, it's getting there. This was baller. I threw this. I mean, yeah, I know it looks like low res or whatever. I'm going to put a digital image in its place, but I just liked the look of it at the time that I was throwing this together. I threw this together in like 3 hours or something like that, which I know is a long, seems like a long period of time, but given what I was trying to accomplish and the fact that I know nothing, I don't mean it didn't take 3 hours to put this together. This took 20 minutes. It took 3 hours to like try to figure out how to get this to talk to my assistant, because that's where I'm at, right? Like I'm not yes, I'm still at the level of like working with custom GPTs, but if you have like if you have GPT plus, if you have a subscription, because you should, because I don't want to talk to you if you don't, then you have this you have your playground panel where you can now go in and build assistants. You've been able to do this for a while actually, and these assistants outside of the playground, like the playground itself also allows for this stuff. You can like use it there, let's say. So let's just go to a test. Yeah, I'm all right. I could, how was I using the panel if I wasn't logged in, guy? Now there are, in the same way, right? So it's loaded up with all the same files. And in the same way, you have the ability, retrieval is essentially knowledge base. So you could turn this off and then it would only have code interpreter plus whatever your instructions were. Not entirely sure what the point of that is, but that's what that is. And then obviously code interpreter. And then I haven't done it yet, but I'm sure that there's a function that I can add that will allow it to do online search. I'm very sure of that. I just wasn't necessary at the time that I was doing this, so I didn't care. But in terms of like the 3 hour things, like a lot of this, look, I've never done a lot of this stuff before. I've never done a great majority of it before. So trying to figure it out for the first time, not easy. Even with having GPT try to help walk you through it, still not easy. Still not very easy to figure it out. I don't know how many times I asked the same question to multiple like models and even Google search and really just had a hard time finding the answer. So yeah, anyhow, what's nice about this though is that you have your normal GPT-4 model and 1106 preview is the 4 turbo. So let's see, by comparison, we'll do 4 real quick and we'll say define lifecycle stages, and they're now that we're getting into demo land, right? And I'm actually not going to talk all the time. I'll just put a little bit of nice music on for everybody. Okay, so define lifecycle stages and their purpose in relation to inbound marketing. Oops, hold on. Hey. Be nice. Be nice. I was thinking about that from what was it? From whoops. Not do. Oh wow. Oh my god, not being able to copy and paste is really killing me, OpenAI. Can you please figure that out? That's a little bit more complicated. Yeah, I have to, because otherwise you're just gonna disappear on me. Stop. Okay. Okay, so this is 4, regular 4. And you can see the sort of the timer down here in terms of like how long it's taking to respond to this. Necessarily, like this is really how long it's taking to go through my data to figure it out. What? I'm not using. Oh, I didn't save for 4. Okay. Oh, wow. Really? That's strange because 4 is what's behind. Huh? Yeah. That's fully possible on 4. Unless what they're saying is 4 turbo is what we're using live? If you guys think I know what this means, you're sadly mistaken. Okay, let's go get the... do I still have it? Prior histories. Nope, lost it. Not worth it. Oh my gosh. Okay. I just want to do something. Let me see. I don't understand what the rate limit issue is, but I also don't have to understand it. Tech, where are you? Where are you, Tech? This advisor they've built is so... Oh, there he is, Tech Support Tommy. Just figure that out for me. Let's see what's going on here. Same thing. All right, so what's it mean? Really? That doesn't make any sense. That was legitimately the first time I've used it today. I didn't even use it, like, I haven't used it for like, I don't know, 15, 16 hours or something like that. How is that even a possibility? I think something, you know, I swear, sometimes they just do some shit on the back end where it's like, hey, you know what? Let's just pretend like everybody's, you know, system's down for a little bit. Anyway, so I'm going to try to get this set up for you guys so that essentially what's going to happen is you guys will have free GPT-4 access to this model, solely for the use of HubSpot stuff, right? I'm only going to give it to, well, I mean, it's going to be on a live URL, but or on a publicly listed page, but I'm probably going to put a password wall in front of it and essentially just give it to certain people because you'll be using my API key on the back end, which means I will be paying for your searches and your prompts. And even though that's the case, at least it's on Turbo, so it's going to be much cheaper. And that's, in that sense, I think my bill already is up to like $1.50. So I hope you guys don't break the bank on me. And when I say $1.50, I'm not even sure the hundreds of messages I've gone through to rack up $1.50. So, okay. So outside of all of that, I'm trying to get that bot put together for you guys. Once I get Hub Knowledge working, I'm going to get all the other ones up here too. So this will go from Hub Knowledge Expert to being, you know, GPT with me with some official stuff, and it'll have like it'll have an option for the bots and everything. It'll be a nice looking page that'll give you guys essentially free access to different GPT-4 bots. Which, you know, why not? Because I know a lot of you guys want to be able to use this stuff and just don't have the access or whatever to be able to do it. So, and I just legitimately feel bad in those cases. So, all right. Let's see. Yeah, I was doing some stuff with HubSpot, trying to pull some like ideas, UX UI ideas. You know, this is what's sort of helping me. This is the bot that's helping me work with building out what do you call it? Trying to build out the well, actually, I was able to get the Node server up and running last night thanks to this. But I was using this bot to help me out with the Visual Studio script in order to get this whole thing off the ground. Let's see. Who else was I using? Oh, okay. Let's go into let's do the formatting. What I used initially to do the formatting was all about custom GPTs, but I think what you can do is just use the tech support advisor. I think let's just try doing it with the tech support advisor first. So, the most obvious question, right? And creating instructions formatted. So that's specifically what I want to know. Instruction with information about it. Yeah. Okay, good deal. Obviously, like the same normal, this is what you should be doing. Yes, because I mean, please think I know off the top of my head on that one. Or level of importance. Okay, let's see. This should come on. Okay. So I'm sorry, I'm not talking through it because I'm assuming that you're watching it and I forget that you guys can't necessarily see it. So let me zoom in. Okay. Boop. So what are we doing here? We're saying, do you know how to, we're asking, so go into GPT, go to your Explorer, go get the tech advisor, tech support advisor, pull it up, ask it about being able to format instructions for a custom GPT model. It'll go into it. And basically, again, you're setting the scene. You're giving it context. It now understands what it is. What's the goal? What are we trying to do? And then, so it understands the basic stuff, right? But what we're trying to accomplish is to get it to realize that we're trying to do a coded set of instructions. So then we just go further and we ask it for a coded set of instructions, but we're not just trying to get the instructions. I'm looking for a coded hierarchy to structure the data for level of importance given to the different instructions. So coded hierarchy, right, is very different than saying like, I just want a coded order or like coded order of operations, like even order of operations, not necessarily what I'm looking for because I don't necessarily want it to do first, second, third. I want it to create a structure where I can tell it the first instruction and like the fifth instruction without the order mattering are higher of importance than the second instruction and the sixth, but the third is of the highest importance compared to first and fifth. You know what I mean? Like be able to do that so that what you do is you create levers inside the instructions so that it's almost like temperature. It's almost like the temperature gauges that you see with these models that you're now able to go in and sort of switch the hierarchy and the structure around to get different effects, to have it prioritize one thing over another. And I guarantee you, like I'm saying, this is so important, because if you try normally, if you just use the normal setup with custom GPTs, I guarantee you will have the hardest time ever getting it to prioritize your knowledge base over just looking stuff up or just answering something off of its own knowledge. Guarantee you. If you learn how to do this, you will definitely get it to reference your knowledge base every time before it even starts thinking about how to do something else. The first thing it will do is start looking at the knowledge base and seeing if what you asked is somewhere in the knowledge base for it to be able to answer. Okay. So again, the stuff's crazy important if you're trying to do this right. So we ask it about if that's a thing. Yes, it's a thing. And not only is it a thing, but here's a framework for how we can set this up, which is exactly what we're looking for, right? So please give me an example. What is that called? A hypothetical example. Some dummy data. Show what the okay. You know what? Let me get this out of the way for you. Okay. This is what I mean when I say that it's tough to get it to go into that actual coded format. That's why I'm dumb. Formatting would look like formatting. Lever special characters means of as well as related information to the subset. Okay, I think that's right. It's better than what I had initially. Come on. Oh, God. Seriously? Did I use the right word in here? No, I didn't. Okay. Oh, my God. This is so frustrating right now. Because I don't want to have to give it an example in order for you guys to be able to do this. It's really, what frustrates me is that I've done this before. I didn't do it with the tech advisor, I'll admit that, but I've done this before and it's kind of given me the same thing. Okay, so look for this model if you can find it. Okay, all about custom GPTs. It's on the AI Exchange. You should be able to Google search for this one too. If you can't find it through what I looked for initially was this 22.5 best custom GPT searcher. Used that to find this all about custom GPTs, and kind of just chain link from there. Okay. Be familiar with custom GPTs. Let's go to code. Maybe format is what's screwing me up. I'm just going to stick with code, and maybe that will keep it on the right track. God! How are you not doing this now? That's that right there, that initial, there we go. Man, why did it even say I don't know how to do this if you know exactly how to do this? Okay. You can ask my wife. I swear to God, every time I need something to happen, I have to get frustrated / pissed off. And then all of a sudden it happens. Anyway, I love this. I'm trying to get my bot to do this right now. It won't, that I know of. I don't know if nobody's ever come back to me to give me feedback and also let me know that, hey, it worked, like your bot told me to come back and give you feedback or something. I just assume that it's working. I should test it on something. I don't know. Anyway, I'm not, I understand like coders and stuff like that and people who design programming, because again, like you develop one thing and you're kind of like trying to constantly upgrade it. So but at least I'm staying with the same model and trying to upgrade it and figure it out. I'm not moving on to the next iteration. Let's say I'm not trying to make like a different custom model of the Hub Knowledge Expert. I'm working on the same one. So it's not like, I'm going to discontinue support for the thing that I've created. Anyway, what's most important is what we got as this output, because this is exactly what you're looking for, right? The understanding that like how these instructions work, right? And the fact that it did it in this way. So now let's ask and find out. Can I just select and do it? If you guys don't know, you now have select and query. Yes, we do. Okay. So let's just take that selection. Oops. Additional formatting rules that can be used. Whoop. That down arrow. Here's your instructions. This is what I was trying to like point out earlier in terms of like what certain things do. I don't know I don't know why it did it for me now and not before. I'll copy and paste this on LinkedIn too, so that you guys have this. I actually have I have like a cool Canva design that I'm going to be using for you guys when it comes to these like tips and stuff. I'm going to leverage this little thing, and I'm just going to change the graphics to be my chibi graphics, but it'll be stuff like this. It'll be multi-panel and have this kind of output stuff on it, so you guys can learn how to do this stuff. But yeah, this is exactly what you're looking for. This is exactly how you structure the instructions for your custom GPT so that it understands. Like, all we're talking about is the same thing that we do for ourselves. That's what we're talking about here. So when you go and you're reading this, hierarchy. This is the most important thing on the page. This is less important than that because this is a subsect of this. This is definitely additional detail about that. That's a specific link, so I'm sure on the back end it's bracketed in some way, right? This now has bullet points that are relative to that. We do this already for ourselves. So when I say that we're talking about cleaning up and structuring the data, we're doing this. We're just doing it on a coded level for the bot, really. And so like in the end, what it'll kind of look like, it's not exactly, it'll look like markup. It'll basically look like markup. And that's essentially what we're doing. We're just giving markup and tags to the information that we're putting into the bot, right? Only instead of using like, once we do the JSON aspect of things, it will look like markup exactly like this. Let me see if I can get it to give me. Oh. An example of data formatting data set for LLM for a GPT to give recipe instructions. Let me see if it'll do it here. It should. Come on, give it a whirl. There you go. It's going to look something like this. Not exactly, but something like this. Why I say something like this is because like this is, and it'll say it at the end. It should. It'll say like, this is just an example, which is what I asked for, of how you could code the information. So realistically, like what you're looking for when you do this is you're looking for like how, like a universal method that you're going to be able to use and apply to all of your data that you're going to give to a singular model, right? So in other words, if you're using this as the structure, right? So this is one recipe, right? All the recipes have to use this structure. Every recipe in the book should have this same structure to it. If it needs something more than ingredients or more than instructions or more than preparation time or difficulty, it could be considered a completely separate element, and it may not be considered the same, right? It might. It's not like insanely different, right? But same thing. If it's not structured right, like it doesn't have a quotation mark or something, dirty data, garbage in, garbage out. So if it's not perfectly done, then you can't expect perfection on the output, right? I don't know what will happen. It's a stone in a pond at that point. If you decide to put a formatting structure together and you go and you format your data and you screw it up somehow and forget something, it's a stone in a pond. I have no idea what it's gonna do to the rest of it. We all know what happens if you misplace even one character on an HTML sheet, right? Throws the entire thing off. So, well, not the entire thing, but pretty much whatever like the section of whatever that's tied to. So anyhow, I'll get into, I'll hopefully have found the converter. I'm very, 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 very close. I'm also very, very close to getting the web interface working for this bot, for this aspect of the bot. And once I get that working, you guys will get access to that. Especially people who have like been tuning in and watching, you will get priority access over everybody else. And that's not me. It's not like you guys are going to pay for this ever. You won't. It's just, I want people who are like dedicated to this stuff to be using it before people who are just going to use it for novelty, because I want dedicated users on it, so that dedicated users are the type of people who will immediately turn around and tell me like, hey man, this thing's shit. Or like, hey, I asked it this question and it said I have no clue. So like, it's kind of broken or whatever. Regular users, it's kind of like regular customers at a restaurant. They'll come in and if it sucks or it doesn't work, they'll just leave. They're not going to like then tell you that it sucks and then leave. They're just gonna, it's not a review on Yelp or something. So that's kind of about it for the week. It's so hilarious that I thought this was going to be a short episode, and really by saying that it's a short episode, I just mean that it'll actually end on time at 12, probably, because I'm about to launch into a rant about Google again. One thing I forgot after the demo, which I can hilariously, did I have that conversation here? No. It's funny. I talked to chat about a lot of stuff. So like the app issues that were happening with Deep Nude, like I wanted to know more about that story and like where it started, because I hadn't heard anything yet. Right. So this one, I think I was just going on with like, that was for the story about Gemini screwing up. All right, let me get rid of this. Okay, so here's what I find funny. Oh, I asked Bard. That's what it was. Is it more recent than that, maybe? No. Well, let's start with a new one, because Bard, basically can't lie about itself. This is hilarious. Hey, Bard. Ability to interact with another LLM. Let's see. Last time it had to give me 3 different answers to give me the right one. But you know, straight out the gate. Okay, not exactly the right answer. Okay, so I have to be more specific in this question, unfortunately. That's not true. It's leveraging Bard. It's not actually the primary. So it doesn't even know, right? Like, I'm sorry. Wait, did I type the wrong thing? Wow, I did. Such an idiot. Just so many model names at this point. Oh, you know the one that I didn't even mention before that I was going to tell you about that is like, because you obviously know about like OpenAI, you know about Google, maybe you know about Anthropic, right? That's behind Claude. I know you don't know about Perplexity. I know you don't know about Pika, right? Like there's other models out there, and they're all right. They're doing just fine. It's no different than saying like, yeah, well, you know, there's like Kia and like Hyundai and stuff, right? Like there's other car makers too, but like they're not, we always talk about like the big 4, which that's not really a thing now, but still we talk about like Chevy, Ford, you know, Lexus or so, you know, we don't necessarily talk about these like other lesser known. Same thing with like electronics. There's tons of electronic brands out there. There's tons of stuff you can buy off of what is it? Off those deals on like Facebook and stuff like that. Anyway, enhanced performance, blah, blah. Primarily leveraging Gemini, right? That's not true still. Let's see, like this isn't true. Okay, this is. Yes, this is true. That's funny. These 2 are both false. This one's true. How? How would you know as a user? How would you know which one's the right answer in order to accept that right answer, right? Like I know what it is. If I didn't know what it was and I asked the question and I didn't think to go to the other drafts, right? So like I'm a completely new user and I wasn't even paying attention to this. I just took it at face value, right? How would you know? Like you would just believe this and you'd run with it and go with it. So I don't know. So this one is right. It's utilizing a hybrid system that combines Palm 2 and Gemini. Okay. So let's do this. Does it consume for GPT? Let's just say a prompt. I wonder if it does now. That'd be interesting if Bard knew that stat about GPT. Okay, so it can make an estimate. Okay. Got it. For single prompt. Okay. Let's see. New version. I just want to see what this answer is. Obviously. Yeah, I know you don't have enough data. So? No. Potentially slightly higher due to the increased model complexity. What am I getting at by showing you guys this? What I'm getting at is that when you're using GPT, again, these guys are the ones, these people are the ones who are in Congress, who are trying to get in front of all of you and say that what they're doing is super safe and, you know, that it's not bothering anything, not necessarily that it's not bothering anything, but, you know, that they're trying to go about it in the safest way possible. And they're trying to do it in like with the best interests of everybody at heart and all that kind of stuff. realize that these models, let's see. This, I knew this months ago. I just didn't harp on it because it's like, okay, study shows, you know, I have to look into it. I don't think it was, I hope it was MIT that did this, but if it isn't, it's one of those things where like, if it's not MIT or Stanford or Harvard, I'm not really, it's got to be some non-philanthropy influenced tech people. You know, I don't understand, blah, 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 70,000, wow. 7 million liters of water. Good Lord. Yeah, I mean, they are working on it, and they are making pretty huge strides too. What? Anybody else spot an exact number in there? Because I don't. Okay, 500 milliliters for every conversation. What the hell is that? What good is that measurement? Come on, AP. Please be better than that. Only got 4 minutes. Come on. I can still make this point in 4 minutes. I just need a figure. Somebody's got to have a rough figure here somewhere. Okay. There we go. Are you serious? So we're talking about 500 milliliters. If you ask it a series between 5 and 50. What in the hell is that? Okay, well, so it's a difference between like 100 milliliters of water per prompt. I'm not sure what, like, okay, 5 versus 50. 5 versus prompts that you use that are ridiculously huge. And by that, I mean, if you give it a prompt and then you paste in like a wall of text, right? Because some of these things have like 180,000, like I think that's what, well, I know that Claude is up to 200,000. GPT, I think, is up to like 140 or 180,000 on the input parameters. So, not parameters, token, characters, I don't know, the size limit of the input. So it's gotten so massive that, yeah, okay, processing a massive input like that, of course. If you look at how the API works, you pay two different prices. You pay a price for the input and a price for the output, right? Because you could be inputting an insane amount of data, but the output is limited, can only be up to so much. Like in a conversation, it only does so much and then it cuts off and you have to ask it to continue. So it could, if you're using heavy prompts, if you use that many of them, it could cost 100 milliliters of water per prompt. If you're using silly ones or like basic liters, prompts, so I can spell. Oops, and that. What might the D4 and some per prompt. God, do I hate the English language. Almost there, guys. We're right on the hour. Right on the hour. Come on. Give me just a rough figure, man. Guess. Okay. Yeah, we're definitely not going to be using that formula, but you know what I'm saying. Data center efficiency factor, average split of 70%. So it comes out to be something like that. So, just give me the percentage. What? Oh my God. Okay. All I wanted to know was, like, obviously if it's 10 milliliters per prompt on GPT, what it would be on Bard. Okay, so I don't know. We'll just go with a rough estimate because I'm out of time. Basically, what I'm trying to get at, I mean, show length wise, I'm still 2 minutes short, but clock time wise. What I was trying to get at was the fact that GPT is just a singular model, right? Getting more and more efficient, soon to be GPT Turbo, which is going to use even less resources, far less. I forget the exact percentage, but it's ridiculously less than GPT-4. The cost is lower on it, meaning that I shouldn't say it's less, it's more efficient than GPT-4 was. And so it's going to use less resources, right? Cost per prompt. Right? Now, there is a thing where, though Google also has multiple models available for people to use, so that's not really that different, but you could say that OpenAI is kind of being, I don't know, I wouldn't say selfish or something like that, but it's like in terms of consumption, right? They have a lot of different models available for people to use. So it's not just that people are using GPT-4, the various GPT-4 models, they're also using like other models as well. Let's see, I don't know if we actually waited long enough, but I just want to see if it still gives me the same answer. Seems like it's about to. Just the fact that it's like blank. All right. I'm not joking. I was using this yesterday and I did not get any of this response. Like it was working just like it normally would as the custom GPT does. Anyhow, so my thing is like you're only using the one model technically when you're interfacing with it on the web interface, right? You're either using 4 or 3.5. If you're using 3.5, it's like you're doing everybody a massive favor because of the fact that it uses so much fewer resources anyhow. Well, finally it did. And it sucks because you guys didn't get to see like how fast the output was. Anyway, that's funny. It tried to source the knowledge base. That is hilarious. But as it kind of should, realistically, if it could link you to like, I wonder if I just make the knowledge base JSON and then I make it reference the knowledge base via Zapier, then the weight of the knowledge base is 0. And all it has to do is a search to the file on a server. And then it can actually give you a web link. This is the stuff that goes through my head, right? This is why I struggle trying to get you cool stuff, because I keep coming up with something else that's even cooler that I want to do for you guys. Anyhow, so the point of the water thing was that if you're using Palm, and if you ask Bard, it'll tell you that given the type of search, depending on the type of search you do, it will not only leverage Palm, but it will also leverage Gemini. So in effect, if you're asking a multitude of complicated questions, you are using 2 models at once. You are burning twice as many resources at one time. So not only was the demo horseshit, but the actual structure of the way in which Bard now works is also horseshit and also like ecologically horrifically inefficient, right? They are now guaranteeing that you will use twice as many natural resources per prompt as you would have with GPT. I don't know if like Google can screw themselves any harder right now, but they are definitely trying to. I'll leave you with that. Thank you guys for sticking around. As always, thank you guys for watching the show. Love it. Love when you guys interact and having you guys watch. Love being able to teach you guys about stuff and just being able to talk about AI. If you didn't catch it already, definitely go check out the Sprocket podcast. If you're not a Sprocketeer, you should definitely look into Sprocketeers. There's a channel on Slack. You can also find us on LinkedIn. Definitely get into that. That is the hub of hub knowledge outside of my bot and outside of the community, like the outside of the like HubSpot message boards, right? Sprocketeer is awesome because it's live. So like you join the Slack community and you can ask a question, you'll get an answer like very quickly. And you don't have to sit there and refresh a message board to get it. You just get the notification, right? So definitely worth joining. Prompt Practitioners, that's another group that I'm a part of, that if you're into all of this, all things AI and all of that, definitely join Prompt Practitioners. You'll catch me on there and you'll be able to ask me stuff, and you'll see me posting stuff on there. Obviously, feel free to hit me up and ask me about things on LinkedIn. Like I said, check out the last Sprocket Pod episode 7. It was me and Cameron and oh my gosh, I feel so bad right now that I'm forgetting his name. Mark Lerner. I think it's Mark Lerner. Is it? Cameron, are you still watching? Save me. Oh my gosh. Yes, it is Mark. Okay. I had to double check. So yeah, it was me, Cameron, Mark Lerner, and we were just talking AI, doing the same stuff, talking about custom GPTs and sort of where everything is going with AI. Going to be talking with Mark as well on the Deal Hub podcast. I believe that's going to be coming up soon. So love doing it. I always love talking AI. I never have a problem answering questions for people. So if you have questions, ask away. My head is always in AI news. That's like, I swim there, I live there. Going to be putting together an AI course very soon. When that is put together and is about to launch, I will let you guys know about that. It's not just me, it's me and the rest of the crew at Prompt Practitioners. We've been working on this for weeks now, and I think that it's going to be an amazing course. Sounds like weeks isn't a long enough period of time to put a course work together to teach AI. Trust me, it's more than enough time, because again, the people involved, like myself, and I can't even say, like, I really don't say or think of myself as like at the forefront necessarily. There's plenty of people who are way closer than I am, but I can say that like all of us are on that same level in terms of being like insane with AI news and advancements and what's going on. So in that realm, that like you have people who at least very, very much know and are knee deep in using these tools, building out this course. So it's not going to be just, jackassery. Jackassery is what I would call it. And yeah, I wish I could have remembered a lot of these other stories that come to mind right now based on prompting courses. But thank you guys. And it's been a great week. Hopefully you guys had a great Sunday. Hopefully you had a great time today. And as always, thank you for coming by, and thanks for being here to GPT with me. See you guys.